Hi, it's Eve Metlis with Watson Realty. Today I'm filming the second episode of Tuesday Tips with Eve. Today we're going to talk about an earnest money deposit, what it is and what it means. An earnest money deposit is also called a good faith deposit or an escrow deposit, or EMD for short. The deposit shows that the seller, that the buyer, is serious about purchasing the home. In good faith, the buyer intends to buy the home, which is where that term came from. The amount of the earnest money deposit can vary depending on the property. I've seen them as low as $1,000, and they can go up to as much as 10% or more of the purchase price. If a buyer's paying cash for the property, the earnest money deposit is typically larger. The earnest money deposit has to be put down or deposited within a certain time frame according to the contract. In Florida, that's typically within 3 days of the executed contract. That amount that you deposit goes towards your down payment of your loan, and I make sure that the closing company has that down payment on the day of closing. If the deposit is not made according to the terms of the contract then becomes null and void because the buyer failed to perform under the terms of the contract, and the seller now has to find a new buyer for that property. There are very rare times where the buyer's earnest money deposit is in jeopardy and they're at risk of losing that money. If the buyer does not adhere to their inspection time frames or their loan commitment frames, and they decide that they don't want the property after they've met all of their contingencies, they're at risk of losing that money and for that money to go to the seller. The contract does state the guidelines of how that's handled should something like that occur during the course of the contract, and I make sure that all of my buyers know what that means and what the guidelines are, and also make sure that all of my buyers adhere to all of the guidelines, and we are usually well within our time frames. So there's no worries there. I would love to help you find your new home. If you are just thinking about it and have a lot of questions, I would love to help you and sit down with you and get those questions answered. Or if you are ready to go and ready to get pre-approved, I would also love to help you as well. I can put you in touch with some great local lenders. Please comment below, or you can send me a message and we can get the process started. I would also love to hear what other topics you would like some information on Tuesday Tips with Eve for future episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.